Good afternoon, everybody. It's Sunday, September 10th, just about 10 of 1, and it's time for another shop video. And in this video today, I'm going to talk about something that a lot of you guys in the viewing area might have been waiting for me to talk about. And that is the Prospect Medical Holdings ransomware attack / incident. This incident actually occurred at the beginning of August, and the reason why I waited until now to even make the footage for this video is because I needed to make sure that certain facts were not only correct but also confirmed to be true before I made the video. That time has now come and gone, so now I can shoot this video and talk about what I know happened. Now, what exactly did happen? For those of you that are not in the viewing area, Prospect Medical Holdings is the group that operates a lot of our local hospitals and outpatient facilities here in Western Connecticut, in my immediate viewing area, which means Waterbury and Southbury. What had happened was, sometime early in the morning of August 3rd, all of the consoles at Prospect Medical Holdings sites just started to go crazy, and then a message with a big smiley face appeared on the screen along with the text, "Ha ha, gotcha." And then immediately after that, the ransomware notice appeared, and I will put a copy of that actual notice at the end of this video because it is publicly out there. A group calling themselves Ransomware claimed responsibility for the attack that occurred most likely via phishing. Ransomware is known for using phishing attacks to implant their malicious code. It is believed that someone somewhere in the Prospect Medical Holdings group opened up an email that had an attachment in it that they should have left alone. Instead, they opened the attachment, and the attachment in particular installs a tool known as Cobalt Strike. Now, Cobalt Strike is a legitimate penetration testing package that someone like me would use in the course of daily work, but it's also used by cyber criminals to gain access to networks. And Cobalt Strike was installed on the network. Now, the important takeaway here is that this incident that I just described most likely happened months before August 3rd. It could even be years before August 3rd, 2023. Typically what happens is during that time, the ransomware actors will basically browse around the network, leverage their access, try to do what we call move laterally, which means they're looking to take whatever user privileges they have and escalate themselves up to administrator status, at which point they can get more network resources and potentially start exfiltrating more data. Now, not all of these ransomware groups will steal your data. Some will not. However, Ransomware is one of the ones that will. And they did exfiltrate some data out of the Prospect Medical Holdings network, which we'll get to that in a minute. But while they're in the network, they're perusing the network, they're potentially exfiltrating data, they're just looking over everything. And these guys will eventually get themselves to the point where they will know more about the inner workings of that network than the own IT staff that run the network will. And if that doesn't scare you, it should. Also, with a lot of these ransomware attacks, your traditional defenses don't work. And I'm going to look through, I think I've covered parts of this in other videos. But defense against ransomware attacks is a little bit tricky because we can't necessarily rely on technological defenses to protect us, because the ransomware actors can either destroy or get around some of the defenses that we can put in place. So we have to get back to some very, very basic fundamental items. But these guys will learn more about the network than the own IT people that run the network will. And when they're ready, they hit the encrypt button. And what that does is it launches the actual ransomware component. Now, the ransomware component, the first thing that will do is it will search all connected hard drives across the whole network for drives that it can access and encrypt. And once it does that, it will start the actual encryption operation. And then once that's all over, that's when you see the message on the screen that I talked about, the gotcha, and then the ransomware notice. And this is typically when, if you have antivirus on your machine, this is typically when the antivirus will go off and sound the alarm. However, by this time, it's too late. The damage has already been done. The payload has been dropped. The encryption of your data has occurred. And before that, the probable theft of your data has occurred. So the damage has already been done. Thus, your antivirus is most likely not going to save you from this type of attack. Now, once we get past this stage, which what I described only takes a matter of maybe 15 to 30 seconds. If that, once we get past this stage, this is when the chaos starts. And everything basically comes to a grinding halt, which in a medical environment is extremely, extremely scary. It used to be that a lot of these ransomware actors wouldn't go near a medical facility. Well, now a lot of them don't care, and that's bad. What happened now, as far as ransomware attack aftermath, We don't know if Prospect Medical Holdings paid the ransom, nor do we know what the ransom was. That information never came out. Usually the ransom in these kinds of cases is $20 million plus. The highest that I've ever heard of, which was the UK's Royal Mail ransomware attack, was $60 million. I've also heard of several $20 million ransomware attacks. These ransomware attacks obviously also have a very large financial cost as well, that sometimes will really hurt or destroy a business, especially if they're not in that good of a financial condition. And Prospect Medical Holdings, for those of you that have been reading the papers, is not in good financial condition. So we don't know what's going to happen after this. Now, Prospect Medical Holdings, at least in Connecticut, is in the process of selling all their stuff to Yale, which is just about finished. They're waiting on the state to give the final okays, which I'm hoping the state of Connecticut does soon, because, like I said, Prospect is not in the greatest financial condition. Also, it did come out well after the fact, and this is the other part that I was waiting for. It did come out well after the fact that some data was in fact exfiltrated out of the network. While Prospect is not saying what was taken, Ransomware themselves have come out and said what was taken. They took, according to them, they took about 2.5 terabytes of data, some of which is highly sensitive information. By highly sensitive, I'm talking about social security numbers, a lot of identifying info, and possibly a few patient records. Now, a couple takeaways here that people need to remember. One, sometimes the ransomware actors will often exaggerate the amount of data that they've taken. So we have to take what I just said, which came from Ransomware themselves, with a bit of a grain of salt. And number two, we won't really know what's been taken until unfortunate people start getting data breach letters in the mail. I do know that there is at least one lawsuit that I know of that has been filed against Prospect Medical for this incident. I don't know any of the details of that lawsuit yet, so it's hard to say what may come out of it. If we get a data breach letter ourselves, I'll shoot an update video. The point of this whole thing is this ransomware business, and you guys have heard me talk about this before, this is just getting to the point of ridiculous. This is getting to the point of being deadly. And I don't exaggerate when I say that. If you launch a ransomware attack against a hospital, as far as I'm concerned, you are the lowest of the low black hat scum. You're risking human life. You're basically prioritizing dollars over human life, and that's low. yeah, this whole thing really isn't good. I believe I've done videos on ransomware defense before. I'm gonna take a look back through and see what I've done. And if I have to do a follow-up video with some additional information, I will shoot the raw footage for that and get it edited and get it up. As always, feel free to rate, comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see everyone next time. See you all soon. Bye-bye.